Hello there my RPG lovers and welcome to another video. ArcheAge Unchained is a new version of the original ArcheAge free-to-play MMO. The biggest difference between these two games is the new business model of ArcheAge Unchained. This version of the game is buy to play, which means that you make a single purchase and you're good to go. There are no progression items that you can buy from the shop, so basically it's not pay to win. It has all the content from the original ArcheAge and the game comes in 3 different packages. Higher tier package contains cosmetics and gold, but again, no progression items. Both versions of the game will receive the same updates in the future. The new expansion for the game called Garden of the Gods just got released, so I guess now it's a great time to try this game out. This video is sponsored by the developers, but all the opinions that you're going to hear are my own. If you decide to check out this game, please use the link on top of the description page because this way you will help my channel. That being said, let's jump right in. I actually wanted to try this game when it first came out back in 2013 because back then I was still heavily invested in MMOs. That kinda changed over the years and nowadays I only get that MMO itch from time to time. It's been a while since I played any MMO seriously and I think that's important to notice. I just want a relaxing experience without worrying too much about the meta gameplay, whether it's PvP or PvE. So ArcheAge Unchained seems like a great choice, especially because it's more of a sandbox MMO than anything else. Anyway, after the intro cutscene, you get to choose between 2 factions, the East and the West, and you have 6 different races. I went with Nuyen, which is basically just a human. Yeah, I know, it's boring, I should have picked Warborn instead because he's really cool, but it's too late now. Then you get to choose between 6 different classes or skill sets as the game calls it. For those who are familiar with my channel, my choice won't come as a surprise. A two-handed warrior is almost always my preferred playstyle, so I went with Battle Rage class, obviously. The character customization screen is pretty solid, and I know that a lot of people will appreciate that. It's not the most extensive character creation screen in an MMO, but I would say it's more than enough to create a unique character. When you finally start the game, you will get some cutscenes that are supposed to introduce you to the story of the game. A great storyline is the last thing that I'm looking for in an MMORPG, to be honest. This doesn't mean that the story in ArcheAge is bad, but I won't spend a lot of time talking about it. What I really appreciate about the story though are different quests for each race. Not long after you begin the game, you will learn that you have 3 types of quests available. Race-specific quests are progressing the story forward and they give you a lot of XP, so I focused on that. Each race in the game has specific story quests, which is really cool actually. And somewhere down the line, the story becomes the same for each race. But nevertheless, it's really cool they included different race quests, it's a nice attention to detail. And people who get invested in the story and the lore of the game will probably appreciate this. Moving on to the actual gameplay. The introduction to combat and some other mechanics in the game is done through a storytelling tutorial. ArcheAge uses a tab targeting system, but there are some abilities that require aiming. When it comes to my class in particular, I was kinda surprised that I got to learn a couple of AoE abilities quite early in the game. The general feel of the gameplay is pretty solid and smooth, for the most part. I had a couple of minor problems with the gameplay, but more about that a bit later. If you played World of Warcraft or any other similar MMO that uses a tab targeting system, you won't have a lot of problems with ArcheAge. I think I would describe the general feel of the combat like a mix of Guild Wars 2 and World of Warcraft. Both of those games have a solid tab targeting combat, so this is definitely a compliment. What kinda caught me by surprise are multiple skill sets that you can mix and match. You start off with a skill set that you select in the character creation menu, but at level 7 and level 15 you can unlock 2 more skill sets. This means that you can mix and match skills from different skill sets however you like. Well, almost I guess, there are some limitations. As you level up, you get more options obviously and more skills to choose. When it comes to the actual skills, I quite enjoyed what my particular class has to offer so far. It doesn't take a lot to get some pretty cool and powerful skills. My only concern when it comes to this is the difficulty of the game while leveling and the sense of danger in the world, which I consider to be really important. But I'm relieved to say that NPCs in ArcheAge can be pretty brutal actually, especially when you try to pull a couple of mobs at once. The aggro range on hostile enemies is pretty low compared to some other MMORPGs and I actually like this. You can almost get in their face without being attacked. Actually, I don't think it would work otherwise because like I said, you can easily get overwhelmed by multiple NPCs. You can't just face roll all enemies like it's nothing, you have to try and combo your skills effectively. Oh yeah, by the way, you get some bonuses to your damage if you manage to pull off combos with some of your skills. It's actually really fun to try and find out what skills can be used in a combo without reading through the description of all skills, because nobody has time for that, let's keep it real. This might not be apparent right from the start, but as you level up it gets progressively harder to kill mobs. I guess you can always try to out-level the zone by doing a lot of regional quests. It seems like ArcheAge doesn't have a lot of level scaling systems, and if it does, I would like to learn about it. There are zones with different level requirements, but if you keep following your race quest, you should keep up with the level requirements for the new zones without the need to do a lot of regional quests. Speaking about the zones, I think this is where ArcheAge truly shines. Exploring different zones in the game feels really good. The graphics are definitely showing their age, but I wouldn't call them bad. When I say that the exploration feels great, I'm not specifically talking about the graphical fidelity. The layout of these maps and the overall atmosphere that the game creates is great. There's a lot of vertical exploration, and all the zones that I visited so far felt unique. Some locations are a bit bland, but still quite different from the other zones. The only disappointing thing when it comes to exploration is the lack of other players in these zones. I know for a fact that a lot of people are playing this game, but during my 30 plus levels I didn't bump to a whole lot of people. Except when I got to the major city, but that was to be expected. But I started seeing a lot more people when I hit level 30, so maybe just the low level zones are like this. It could be that most people on this server have higher level characters and they are busy with the endgame stuff. Speaking about the endgame, I can't really talk about it seriously because I'm still low level. There are dungeons and raids and a couple of PvP modes. I tried the arena a couple of times, but I got completely destroyed. I will probably do another video where I just talk about the endgame. But like I already said, I'm really not trying to raid or PvP seriously. You can do that of course, if that's how you wish to play the game. And after all, ArcheAge is supposed to be a sandbox MMO where you set your own goals, so do whatever you want. There is a lot of crafting in the game, and everything seems to have a step-by-step approach. Even when you get your first mount, you have to do some silly tasks. I assume that the player housing system have the same approach. There is a big emphasis on player housing in ArcheAge, and right from the beginning of the game you will find properties from other players. Naval gameplay also seems like a big thing in this game. I only played around with a simple boat, but I know you can get some pretty cool boats later on and explore the sea. One of the biggest reasons why you might consider playing this game right now is the newest expansion that just came out called Garden of the Gods. This expansion pack has a lot of new content like 40 new areas, 59 story quests, new world boss and much more. My overall experience with ArcheAge Unchained has been pretty good so far, but I have a long way to go. I said that I'm going to address some issues I had with the gameplay, so let's do it right now. Like I already said, the whole combat experience as a package seems really strong, but some animations can feel a bit weird. Specifically some transitions between animations that can feel a bit choppy. The camera can also misbehave sometimes. I'm used to holding the right key all the time for controlling the camera, and sometimes in combat the game just decides to stop taking inputs for whatever the reason, so I have to press it again. And obviously that's kinda annoying. And the last thing, and possibly the biggest issue I have with the game, is the loading time. Not the loading time in the game itself, but when you start the game. I really don't know why it takes so long to start the game, maybe because my shitty hard drive or something. Other than those issues, I'm really glad I decided to try this MMO. I can see myself playing it on and off whenever I get that MMO itch. And those would be my first impressions of this game. If you decide to try it out, please use the link in the description. I would like to hear your opinions about ArcheAge Unchained. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe for more content and click on the bell icon so you don't miss any future uploads. Special thanks to my Patreons, and if you as well want to become one of them, all the links are in the description. Patreon is definitely the best place to directly support my work, and every contribution is highly appreciated. That will be all, and I'll see you in the next one.